Again, I think this is to show you. So you have this dragon in Revelation and throughout Scripture, this Satan, the devil. Um, and you saw earlier, I shared the Mystery Babylon, the Bill Cooper thing about the root of the religion of the Luciferians. And then John Todd shared his testimony about how he was in them and how they have control over the governments. And and their goal is to create a one world totalitarian government, which leads us into the next thing in Revelation, the beast. So we're going to read about the beast now. All right, Revelation 13, the final, the first beast here. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads. The beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet was like the feet of a bear, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it, the dragon gave him his power. So this beast, whatever this beast is, the dragon gives him his power and his throne and great authority. So it seems like political power as well. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" And the beast was given a mouth, uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. So this beast system, or this beast, is persecuting God's people or trying to conquer them, and in various ways. I think one of the ways is through deception, because you go back to chapter 12, it called the dragon a deceiver of the world, also an accuser, right? And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on the earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written from the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has a ear, let him hear. If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword must he be slain. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. So the main thing I want to focus on here is that authority was given to it over it'll conquer the whole world politically, whatever this is. Now, let's go to chapter 17, because it gives more information on this beast, starting in verse 8. The beast that you saw was and is not and is about to rise from the bottomless pit and go to destruction. I don't know what that means exactly when it says was, is not, and is about to rise from the bottomless pit. I don't have a specific view on that. And the dwellers on earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, will marvel to see the beast, because it was and is not and is to come. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated, and we'll talk about the woman later. They are also 7 kings, 5 of whom have fallen. One is, and the other has not yet come. I have a theory on this that I've heard, and I don't know if this is correct or not. But what if the 5 kings that have fallen are Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Media Persia, Greece? So at the time that this was written, those would have been the 5 that had fallen. Rome was the one that is at the time that this was written, and the other has not yet come. And when he does come, he must remain only a little while. Now, I don't know what that's where I start to get like what would be the short king. As for the beast that was and is not, it is an eighth, but it belongs to the seven, and it goes to destruction. So it seems like the beast itself, the whole thing, is the eighth and is one of the seven. And maybe that's what it means when it says was, is not, and will be. Some suggest a revived Roman Empire of some sort. It could be Babylon, because Revelation talks a lot about Babylon. It could be, I don't know, Egypt. I don't know what it is exactly. And maybe my theory on the five that have fallen is false. But whatever it is, will conquer the whole earth. So that's the main thing I wanted to get from that. Now, next, I want to look at Daniel 7. Now, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but what I would like to do is talk a little bit about these. Daniel has a dream and sees four beasts. The first beast was like a lion with eagle's wings. Second one, like a bear. The third was like a leopard with four wings. And then the fourth is similar to the one in Revelation, where it says, the fourth beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This is why I think it's the same one. The other one has 10 horns as well. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So what we want to do, and then it talks about how the Ancient of Days took his seat at the time that this 10-horned beast, and it is the one that overcomes the beast. We're going to look at the explanation of this starting in verse 16. I approached one of those who stood there and asked him the truth concerning all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of the things. The 4 great beasts are 4 kings who shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. So I believe that this will happen. Some believe it's the church age, but I believe this is still future personally. Then I desired to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. And about the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn that came up, and before which 3 of them fell, the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spoke great things, and that seemed greater than its companions. As I looked, this horn made war with the saints and prevailed over them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given for the saints of the Most High, and the time came when the saints possessed the kingdom. Through verse 27. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. Thus he said, as for the 4th beast, there shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all the kingdoms, and it shall devour the whole earth. So I just needed to keep reading. That was a big part of it. I think in the other one, it says every tribe, tongue, and nation will bow down to this beast. So I believe this is talking about the same one. And trample it down and break it to pieces. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. So I think it's going to be some sort of confederation of 10 kings that is established on the earth before the 11th horn arises. Many believe is the Antichrist, which I also believe. He shall be different from the former ones and shall put down 3 kings. So he'll subdue 3 of the 10, and he shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand. For a time, times, and half a time. Remember, we talked about that before. That's 3.5 years, the Great Tribulation period, I believe. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. So basically, when this kingdom arises, this that conquers the whole earth, Jesus will return and set up his kingdom and destroy the kingdom of this world. So that is in connection. So we just talked about this Luciferian religion and the Illuminati and how it controls sort of deceptively all of the world today. And so I wanted to play a bit of a video about these 10 horns and what I think they are. So that's what we're going to look at next. So the next one we're going to watch, not this one, is the 10 Kings prophecy and the club.
All right,
let me start this over. And this one is called the 10 Kings and the Club of Rome. This is on this playlist, but I'm not playing the whole thing here. I don't think I am. Actually, I am. It's fairly short. So this is by Ajarn Spencer. So like and subscribe to his. I'm going to go ahead and hit the thumbs up here. So that's what we're going to watch next. All right.
All right. Let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating connection, one that stretches back thousands of years. We're talking about a 2,000-year-old prophecy and a modern plan for global governance. Now, what if that ancient vision is actually playing out right now in our world? Let's dig in and see.
So this is really the heart of it all. Could a prophecy from 2 millennia ago actually be a roadmap for a modern global plan? I mean, could some cryptic passage from the Bible really lay out a blueprint for a future world government? It sounds pretty out there, right? But stick with me, because we're about to look at the evidence that has so many people convinced this is exactly what's happening.
Okay, so to get started, we have to go way back. We're heading into the ancient world, specifically to the visions you find in the books of Daniel and Revelation. And what these texts describe, well, it's a picture of a final global power structure that's supposed to emerge right before the end of the age as we know it.
And this verse right here, this is the absolute key. Listen to this. The 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority as kings with the beast for 1 hour. So you've got 10 horns, which the text itself says are 10 kings. They're not in power yet, but they get this short, intense burst of authority, and they share it with this figure called the beast.
So you're probably wondering, what on earth is the beast? Well, let's be clear, we're not talking about a literal monster. In these prophecies, the beast is a symbol. It represents a final, oppressive, world-ruling authority. A lot of people who study this believe it's talking about a kind of revived Roman Empire, fronted by a single, powerful, and very charismatic world dictator. Okay, so what about these 10 kings? Who are they? Well, people have been trying to pin this down for centuries. I mean, you had Sir Isaac Newton, yes, that Isaac Newton, who thought they were the ancient tribes that broke up the Roman Empire. Then, much more recently, in the 20th century, people looked at the European Economic Community, which for a time had 10 member nations, and thought, aha, that's it. But here's the thing, and this is really important. The prophecy says 10 kings, leaders, not necessarily 10 nations. That distinction is going to be crucial.
All right, now let's hit the fast forward button. We're jumping from ancient scripture all the way to 1968, because that's when a very influential global think tank was created. And what they proposed offers a really strange modern parallel to everything we've just talked about. So, we're talking about the Club of Rome, and it's really important to get this straight. This isn't some shadowy secret society meeting in a volcano lair. It's a public think tank. We're talking scientists, economists, former heads of state, a collection of global intellectuals. And their whole deal is using complex computer models to analyze what they call the predicament of mankind and propose solutions for, you guessed it, global governance. Okay, so here it is. This is where the theory really catches fire. In 1974, the Club of Rome published a report called Mankind at the Turning Point. And in that report, they laid out a computer model for how to manage the entire world. And what was their proposed structure? You're not going to believe this. They divided the entire globe into 10 distinct interdependent regions, or you could almost call them kingdoms.
All right, let's just take a step back and look at what we've got. On one hand, a 2,000-year-old prophecy about a 10-king alliance. On the other, a modern, influential proposal for a 10-region system to manage the globe. For the people who track this stuff, the parallels are they're way too specific to just be a coincidence.
Let's actually break this down side by side, because it's pretty striking. The Bible, it talks about a future world power structure made of 10 distinct kings. The Club of Rome, it proposes a structure for global governance that divides the world into 10 regions. The prophecy says these kings give their authority over to a central figure, the beast. The model, it says these regions need to be interdependent, which, allows for centralized coordination. It's uncanny, to say the least. So for the people who are really watching this, who believe there's a larger plan in motion, this 10-region map isn't just some academic thought experiment. No way. They see it as a potential blueprint, the actual blueprint for that final world government described in Revelation. It's
All right. If you want to see the rest of it, I would check that out yourself. But you get the gist of it there. See, you got this plan in the Club of Rome to create 10 regions on the earth. And ever since I heard that, I thought that's probably that sounds a lot like it could be the 10 kings. So you have one king in each region. So if that is the case, then what we might see in the near future is a global system of 10 regions set up with people governing each one, or kingdom, monarchies, I don't know. But it calls them kings in the Bible, but they could be governors, something that's more palatable to people. They could say it's going to help the world have more peace and, help the world have a stronger economy, things like that. That makes a lot of sense. Like if I didn't know scripture, I would be like, well, that sounds good. But I think it's really, the deception of it is that it's centralized powers. Even if you look at the nations of the world now, like I'm in the United States, so I know American politics, right? You have those who want to, in fact, both parties really make the government bigger. There's really not two sides anymore. I mean, there's kind of the illusion of two sides. But both sides want smaller government in different ways. Both sides want bigger government in different ways. I think the best way is small government in all ways. But if you think about how the left wants big government when it comes to the economy, they want the government to have more control and power to help people, help the poor and those kind of things. But they want smaller government morally and allow more freedom morally. The right wants big government when it comes to morally and police force and wars, but they want smaller government when it comes to the economy. Now that's kind of an illusion too, because both parties, even where they're smaller, they tend to be bigger. So on the left, they still are quite authoritarian in many ways, and on the right, they still have a huge, hand in our money and control over the finances and stuff. So it's really not two choices. They're both trying to gain more centralized power in the United States. And I'm sure that that's common in most countries where people look to the government to help save them, whether it's environmentally or, economically or, what do you call it? Like help solve all our problems, basically. And by doing that, it sounds good if the government is not corrupt. But if it's corrupt, all it does is creates more of a power structure, and the people are basically enslaved by that system. So I think that that's where we're heading on a global scale, that this is going to sound good. People want wars to be stopped. People want a better economy and all that stuff. But they're going to use that to say, we can help you. And then people are going to willingly give that up, their freedoms up for this, because they think that freedom is what failed us. And it really wasn't freedom that failed us. Even with freedom, there's going to be problems. But I think there's more problems, maybe an illusion of help until they have ultimate power. But anyway, but yeah, I think the Club of Rome with the 10 regions fits in nicely with the 10 horns. And I think that might be where we end up in the near future.